Hello, everybody. We have about a month left of the NFL season, and we have power rankings for week 15 of the NFL season right here. This has been a fun one. Because of the fact that a few teams are on a bye, it made it a little bit difficult, but we got it nonetheless. Before we jump right into it, I want to quickly say if you are new, subscribe, be greatly appreciated. Leave a like as well, comment down below your power rankings, any disagreements you have, and let's jump right into it. To begin things off, the two honorable mentions due to them being on a bye this week are the Denver Broncos and the Washington Commanders. Otherwise, they most likely would have been within the top 10, but on a bye, they're going to fall to the honorable mentions. Next honorable mention is the Miami Dolphins. It wasn't a great win against the Jets, went into overtime, but a win is a win nonetheless when you're fighting for your season at this point, like Miami is. And the big thing was how well Tua played in big time moments. Right before the first half, he led that great 1 minute drill to give Miami the lead entering halftime. To end the game, led the 1 minute drive to tie the game and send it to overtime. And then the overtime drive itself was beautiful. Jonnu Smith came alive in that overtime drive, and I love seeing it. He was a big part of Miami's success the past few weeks, and it only made sense that he would be a big part for the win this week. Next up, the final honorable mention is the San Francisco 49ers. It was a dominant win against the Chicago Bears. That first half was one of the most dominant showings we've seen. The Bears only had 4 yards of offense compared to the 49ers, 319 yards of offense. And for the most part, it was an all-around dominant win at that point on. Big time win for the Niners. They stay in this division race, trying to catch up to Seattle at this point. But for the time being, they're still banged up a little bit. I don't like the fact that they have that many injuries, and they're going to be an honorable mention. Number 10 is the Los Angeles Rams. And for the defense being a complete no-show in this one, it was still an incredible win for the Rams against a top-tier team in the NFL, against the Buffalo Bills, putting up 44 points in a game that Matthew Stafford played really well, only having 7 incompletions and throwing for 320 yards, 2 passing touchdowns as well. Kyren Williams had 2 rushing touchdowns on the day, and Puka Nacua had 2 total touchdowns, plus 162 yards through the air, a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown. It was an offensive showing for the Rams. This is the offense most people kind of thought we were going to get from them most of the season. It's a shame that it's coming up late, because if they had this style of offense the entire year, they could be a much, much different team. But we'll see. The defense needs to show up, though, a bit more. They're a game back of Seattle for this division. They could still win this division. And if they sneak into the playoffs, they could be a very tough team to beat. But we'll have to wait and see. But a win against another top-tier team is a good start, and they're going to come in at number 10 for these rankings. Number 9 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and for all the injuries and disappointing losses that they've had this season, this was a good win to have, and they find themselves a game ahead of the Atlanta Falcons for first place in the NFC South. Okay, it was a good showing. The defense picked off Aiden O'Connell, and overall played a very well game against his Vegas offense that has been a very bad offense this season. Maybe not very bad, but it has been a bad offense this year. And Tampa's offense played relatively well. I say relatively because Baker still had 2 interceptions, but he threw for 3 touchdowns, and Rachaad White had 90 yards and a touchdown himself on the ground. So it was a solid day. They got the win, get first place in the NFC South. But for as much as I really, really, really like Baker Mayfield and how he's been playing this season, I would love if he can just tune down the interceptions a bit. This is I think it's the 3rd, maybe 4th week in a row with multiple interceptions on the day. Just want to see him have a clean game again, like he was having earlier in the season. But for the most part, Tampa still winning. They were my pick before the season to win the NFC South. I'm still going to ride with them as they do have the one game lead in the division. And man, they're playing well. They're going to come in at number 9. Number 8 is the Seattle Seahawks. And this was a good win for them against the Arizona Cardinals. A win that very well easily could have just solidified them to win the NFC West. But there's still 4 weeks left. We'll see how that plays out. But I liked what I saw from them defensively. They held Kyler Murray to only 16 yards on the ground, which his mobility is a big factor in his style of play. They picked him off twice, which was a very good thing, which was great. And continuing the fact that he's not playing well against Seattle this season, going back to 2 weeks ago. Marvin Harrison Jr. also struggling against the Seattle defense, only had 4 receptions in this game, and they locked him down, and that was really nice to see as well, considering that last week Marvin Harrison Jr. had a good game for Arizona. And Seattle's offense played better in this meeting compared to the meeting in Seattle 2 weeks ago. Geno Smith only had 16 completions, but threw for a touchdown as well. The big time name was Zach Charbonnet, as he had nearly 200 yards from scrimmage in this game, 134 on the ground, 2 touchdowns for on the day for him, and they played a lot better in the second meeting. I like what I'm seeing from Seattle, and they're going to have a massive push left in the season. 4 weeks left. They sit a game ahead in the division. Time to see what they can do when they need to most. They come in at number 8 for the time being. Number 7 is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they paired last week's fantastic offensive showing with an even better showing as a team this week, arguably, because they played a more complete style of football. The defense played a lot better than they did last week. They picked off Jameis Winston twice, held them to only 14 points, in part because their ground defense showed up. And yes, the Browns as a team had 104 yards rushing, but their leading rusher was Nick Chubb with only 48 yards. So overall, a good day on the ground for the Steelers defense. And again, against the pass, they played well also. And the offense, again, not the high-flying, big game scoring team that they had last week, but still a good showing. They had Russell Wilson throw the ball less this week, and he still ended up having 2 passing touchdowns on the day. And on the ground, Najee Harris had a touchdown of his own. It was a good day considering that they did not have George Pickens. I like what I saw from Pittsburgh in this game. So we'll see how they progress. They have a weird situation coming up. Same with the 3 other teams, but they're about to play 3 games in a span of 15 days. We'll see how they get through all of that, and considering that some of those matchups aren't the easiest. Yeah, we'll see, but I do have the Steelers coming in at number 7. Number 6 is the Green Bay Packers. It was a very tough loss for them on Thursday Night Football against the Detroit Lions in a game that they still played well and nearly were able to pull off the upset, but it just wasn't enough in the end. Christian Watson only had 4 receptions, but in total he had 114 yards receiving. That is insane. Would have liked to see him get the ball a bit more, but you can do what you can do. Love threw for just over 200 yards and a touchdown on the day. The big name was Josh Jacobs, who, while only having about 66 yards rushing, did have 3 touchdowns and was a big part for this Packers offense. The defense picked off Goff once, but for the most part, the pass defense just wasn't there, as Goff still ended up with 3 passing touchdowns on the day. And the big thing that culminated in the loss was the failure to get off the field on 4th down. The Lions went for it 5 times and converted 4 of them. You're just not going to be able to win games if your defense is unable to get off the field. And that was the case in this one. Yes, there were some missed penalties, but all of that doesn't matter if you just get off the field on 4th down properly. But the Packers just weren't able to. It was still a great game, so I didn't drop them too far. But still, they're going to fall a little bit as they come in at number 6. Number 5 is the Minnesota Vikings. That was a big-time win for Minnesota in this game against the Atlanta Falcons. They stay within a game of the division lead with the Detroit Lions. And Sam Darnold played lights out. He has 100% earned himself a payday this upcoming offseason, and especially with this game. 5 touchdowns on the day for Darnold, 3 to Jordan Addison, 2 to Justin Jefferson. And that deep one to Justin Jefferson, man. I have no idea what that defender was doing, but he was taking a little bit of the old Sam Darnold route and see ghosts on the field, it seems. Okay, great day through the air. Good day on the ground as well. Aaron Jones has 73 yards and a touchdown. He is continuing to put in the work for this ground offense. On the flip side, the ground defense for Minnesota didn't really show up as they gave up just over 150 yards as total on the ground. But they made up for it where they excelled in the passing defense. They picked off Kirk Cousins twice, gave up no touchdowns through the air, and played really well, secured a dominant win, doubling the score of Atlanta, and again set themselves up for an incredible meeting in just a few weeks. And for the second time they meet with the Detroit Lions this season. For now, they come in at number 5. Number 4 is the Kansas City Chiefs, and their devil magic continues to run wild as they win on a doink and in to clinch the AFC West, becoming the first team to have 3 different kickers hit a game winner in an NFL season. And I just don't get how they're doing this, but it's the Chiefs, so honestly it's kind of expected at this point. Again, big time win. The offense didn't really show up until late when it needed to, but that's also kind of just been the nature of the Chiefs offense this year. The defense played really well, all things considered. played good against the ground, only giving up 94 yards total. On the flip side, though, the Chargers have been without J.K. Dobbins the past few weeks, and he is a massive factor for that Chargers ground game. And the Chargers were also without Laz McConkey this week, who is a massive factor in that Chargers passing game. So I expected the Chiefs defense to play well in this one. The offense I was a little disappointed in, but the Chiefs are also a kind of team who, because they have been there and done that, they don't care about the regular season that much. They're just trying to be healthy and get to the playoffs feeling good with home field, or at least win the division again, like they did this week. So the Chiefs are fine. And they don't care about the regular season. Everything is focused towards the postseason and trying to three-peat for them this year. We'll see if they'll be able to. They already have their spot clinched. They come in at number 4 in these rankings. Number 3 is the Philadelphia Eagles, and I would have liked to see a better performance out of them in a win against the Carolina Panthers, but they got the win nonetheless and stay first place in the NFC East. And thing is with the Eagles is they have a fantastic ground game with Saquon Barkley, who is probably going to finish runner up for the MVP for a reason we're going to be talking about very soon. But he's been a big focus. He's been a big part for why the Eagles have had success this season. He had 124 yards on the day this past week. But the thing is, it's just Jalen Hurts is not looking good. He's missing some easy options. And yes, he did go 14 for 21 passing on this day. He only had 108 yards, missed some easy throws. He's been making things more difficult on himself this season, and I just don't know why. He's either he's just not seeing the field well. He's deciding to scramble when there's people open down the field, and he has a clean pocket. I don't know what's going on fully over there with the passing game, but even people within the locker room themselves, Sirianni, AJ Brown, Brandon Graham, they've all come out and said that something is not right with this passing game, and we need to find a way to fix it. They have a month of play left before the important games start for them, and we'll see if they will be able to fix it come playoff time. But we'll see. But something needs to improve, and they don't have a lot more time left to improve it. Well, if they're able to, they could be a really dangerous team in the playoffs. If they can't, we'll see how far Saquon Barkley can take them. But for now, they come in at number 3. Number 2 is the Buffalo Bills, and I was struggling on what to do with them this week because they did lose, but I decided just to keep them in place where they were last week, in part because of what Josh Allen did. He had the best performance from a quarterback we have seen in a long time, the best fantasy performance we've seen from a quarterback since at least 1950, and he was just the only one who properly showed up and fell for Buffalo today, which is weird because he did have 242 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. But at the same time, he was the primary back for them with 82 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground in part of that fantastic performance. And it is rare we see someone pretty much clinch the MVP in a losing effort, but that's just how good Josh Allen is. The defense is what was shockingly disappointing this week. I was expecting a lot more out of them, especially the past few weeks. But they just have not shown up this season a lot, and especially in big-time games like this. It's tough to really say what's going on with that defense, but I'm not going to put too much against it. It was an uncharacteristically bad showing by this defense, coming off of them just winning the division, so the emotions were riding high this past week, celebrating that they have a playoff spot clinched. So we'll see how it goes the rest of the season, but for now, I'm not expecting this same defense that we saw this past Sunday to show up in future Sundays. I expect the defense to get better. We'll see if they're able to, but for now, the Bills come in at number 2. And number 1 goes to none other than the Detroit Lions. MCDC is a risky man, but he does it well. And went for it 5 times on 4th down in this game, converted 4 of them, including a big one late to clinch the game because they didn't give a chance for the Packers to have the ball back, which, when you look at it compared to the Dolphins-Jets game, was a good decision in the end, because who knows what Jordan Love could have done there. Jared Goff played well throwing for 3 touchdowns, had that 1 interception, but it's nonetheless. And the ground game worked pretty well. 94 yards combined for David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, with David Montgomery having a touchdown. And the defense played well enough considering that it is a divisional game, and because of that, these games are going to be a lot tougher. There's going to be a lot more physicality between them. And you're going to need to end up, and it really is going to come down to a few plays here and there to decide the game. That's what happened here. And at the end of the day, you already know I'm going to mention it. It was capped off by Jake Bates hitting the game winner. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Jake Bates this season. Was a massive fan of his in the UFL and have been a massive fan since week 1 of the UFL, where he hit a 64-yard game winner. I'm loving that he's having success in the NFL and it's just translating well. Definitely someone I'm massively rooting for no matter what team he plays on. But I like it even better that he's on the Detroit Lions. The Lions come in at number 1, still the best team in the NFL in my opinion. All right, there you have it. Quick little rundown. The Rams at 10, Buccaneers at 9, Seahawks at 8, Steelers at 7, Packers at 6, Vikings at 5, Chiefs at 4, Eagles at 3, Bills at 2, and the Detroit Lions round things out at number 1. Thank you all for tuning in. Like I said at the beginning, subscribe, leave a like, really appreciate it. Comment down below any disagreements you have, and comment down below your own rankings as well. See you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.